Welcome to The Showcase, the podcast that celebrates and shines a light on trailblazers across the arts and entertainment industries. And this week, I best swing into action because today's guest has a resume that reads like an A to Z of musical theatre mega hits. Prior to her current stint on the Greek islands in Mamma Mia, her fictional pursuits include studying at Harvard Law, playing a four-legged feline, residing in a convent, and living in New Jersey. She is one of the unsung, or perhaps in this case, singing heroes of musical theatre, keeping the shows on the road as a swing and dance captain. And most recently as well, she has started a very powerful conversation about the industry and its future direction. So without further ado, please welcome Lauren Hall.
Oh, thank you. That's so weird having it read out to you. It's so lovely, though.
That's your walking, talking spotlight now, isn't it? Just use that going forward.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll record it.
Always a pleasure. This is a really straightforward question, but for anyone who's listening to this who doesn't know, like I said, you're a swing, you're a dance captain. What is it that a swing has to do day by day?
So a swing generally covers the ensemble tracks in the show. So I personally on Mamma Mia cover 7 tracks, and I find out on the day which one of those I'm going to be doing. Sometimes if there's multiple people off, sick or injured or on holiday or for whatever reason, we have to cover more than one track at one time.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to use your brain in a different way. It's very exciting being a swing.
Yeah.
It's a challenge, but a one that I'm really enjoying at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I always, looking at it from the outside, it does just feel like it must be the sort of epitome of multitasking. Well, to the point where it must take multitasking to a whole new level. Does it feel like that?
It does. And particularly on Mamma Mia, they rotate per show.
Yeah.
So in other productions I've done, you would have like priority ensemble tracks that you cover. In Mamma Mia, you just cover all of them and you rotate every day. So the swings, and I think in some ways it stops the swings just doing one track for a long period of time, and it keeps you really active and it keeps you involved in every corner of the show, if that makes sense. But also at the beginning when we were learning it, it was like, whoa, this is so much to learn and take on. But yeah.
I mean, because there must be days as well when you go in, when you're having to constantly keep, I suppose, in your mind, refreshing the different roles.
Yeah.
Do you ever find you go in, they say, right, you're going on for that part, and you think, oh, I've not really looked at that for weeks on end?
Yeah, I think I will be looking at my notes until the very last day of the contract.
Wow.
Because there's so many intricacies with it, and it's like props and moving furniture, and it's the scene changing bits, and sometimes it's the backstage traffic that's more complex than the onstage stuff. You kind of go, oh, that's the choreography or that's the song or whatever. But when you're having to work out which side of the stage somebody gets their hair changed and their costume changed and where they bring on props from and things like that, it's those little bits that you can miss. So I'll be constantly checking the notepad.
Because one thing actually that always really surprised me, years ago I worked on a PR thing for Phantom of the Opera, and I got to sit backstage, and while they were rehearsing a number, the director stepped in and went, right, I've got some notes for you. And I thought, this is a show that's been running for 20 years at that point.
Yeah.
And I think it would amaze people that even long runners, you are constantly refreshing what you're doing and being given notes and taking new direction.
Yeah. And even like as the dance captain side, so I'm the assistant dance captain.
Yeah.
And that means whenever the dance captain's on holiday or not there, then I step in. But there's not a set way of cutting the show. You have to do it fresh every day because the combination changes everything. It's not, I thought coming into Mamma Mia, it would be like a Bible of here's what the cuts look like and this is what you do if these people are. It doesn't work like that. And I think because the tracks change slightly with every cast change, because they obviously morph to the people that they've been given or that have got the job, they make the tracks suit those people, so it's not the same as the previous year. So you do think with it being long running that it would be really straightforward and the same, but it's not.
And because you've been a swing, I think, in your last 2 roles.
So this is I've only done it since last year, but I'm really enjoying it, and I think I've actively decided that swinging was something that I wanted to do. I've sort of had an unusual career, I suppose, because I came out of drama school playing parts, and I basically spent my career playing 17-year-olds, and now I'm 37 and I can't do that anymore.
But still looking 17.
Thanks. But it's in order for me to stay within the industry that I love, I sort of fell between casting brackets. And actually being a swing is so handy.
Yeah.
And I really enjoy it. I enjoy the challenge of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to ask that actually about casting brackets, because I noticed obviously you've done so many pantos and you've
Yeah.
been Juve lead and all of that.
Yeah.
Do you sometimes get to a point in your career where you have to go, oh God, casting wise, I'm sort of at an in-between level, you know, where I might just have to wait it out a couple of years before I can go for those roles because I'm not quite old enough for that, or don't quite look quite old enough, and have to sort of...
Yeah, I think knowing your casting is really important in the industry. And I think Kim Ismay and Leanne Jones said on your podcast that she sort of was told at college, or you're going to grow into certain bracket where you will come into your casting. And I never had that. I sort of played the school-age children for a really long period of time. And now I'm even in Mamma Mia, like I can't play Sophie and I can't play Donna. I'm really... It's going to be a long time before I'm too old for Sophie and her friends. But I can swing and get away with being her friends in the Hen Do. Do you know what I mean? So it's a bit... I think knowing your casting is really hard, but it's also really important. Even like my audition songs and things like that, I've had to change because I can't go in singing all the young things I was singing at college, which basically served me for 15 years.
It does sort of feel like the industry, and actually Leanne Jones said this about the industry changing and how there were parts that maybe, 5-10 years ago, you'd go, absolutely, that's not me, and you would just dismiss it. Whereas now, does it feel like there's a bit more of a, do you know what, I'll put myself forward for that, even if you think, well, I might not be quite right for it?
Yeah, I mean, I love Sister Act, and I never thought I'd be right for Sister Act because I remember watching it in 2009 and thinking, wow, but I never thought of myself as fitting in any of the categories. And then when the swing job came up, I thought, I can do that. But yeah, I think I've sort of got off track with the question there.
But in terms of being able to put yourself forward for just roles that you might not be on paper the perfect.
So I didn't
casting.
think I would be on paper right for Sister Act, but actually putting myself forward for the swing made me still right for the show. And because there's all the little characters in Sister Act that I got to play, the Tina and Michelle and all of those ones. So I think putting yourself forward. As long as you feel you can deliver in the audition, and then I suppose it's down to the team, isn't it? As to whether they think you're right enough for it, or their vision for the show. And also, I think visions of shows are changing. We have especially I would say I'm more suited to traditional classical musicals. And those old school musicals, when they're coming back, they're having a refresh and a rebrand anyway. If you look at Regent's Park and Drew McConey and things that people are doing, and Evita and what have you. Times have changed, so don't pigeonhole yourself, I guess, into thinking that I'm right or wrong for this. If you want to give it a go, give it a go.
Yeah. And going back to being a swing as well, I know you weren't a swing during this period, but it does feel, I've asked other people this before, but during COVID in particular and the aftermath of that, suddenly people went, oh, wow, this is why we need swings who are on it, or alternates or understudies. Do you feel a little bit more like swings do get a bit more recognition now for what they do?
I know they do within companies. I don't know if they do from the wider public. But I know that most people would say the swings are the saviours of the show, because I mean, we certainly couldn't run any West End show without them. We had a 9-show week last week, and if the swings had gone off, we wouldn't have had a show. So it's so important to have swings, and I think they are really well respected within a company and within the building. And also the fans of the show, particularly of Mamma Mia, there's a massive fan base of regular fans that come and watch. And they're so supportive of the swings, and they love to see which different tracks we're going on for. And so I think there's that element of it as well.
I think that's what's really nice as well about kind of West End fandom, where they do get just as excited about a swing going on or someone covering a role. And I know probably those conversations maybe get a bit carried away sometimes, but it feels like they really champion that.
They do,
and really championing different people's takes on a role as well.
Keeping it fresh, I guess, for them that come regularly.
And I mentioned the panto side of it. You obviously have been a leading lady several times over. Is there, when you look at them, leading lady swing, is there one that carries a greater pressure than the other? Because it feels like they are probably pressured, but in very different ways.
I don't know if because becoming a swing I've only done since I've become a mum, I'm feeling a different pressure now to what I used to. I think when I was younger, I didn't really have the fear. When I came out of drama school, I was just so confident, and I think as time has gone on, to stay within the industry, I put more pressure on myself, I think. So I feel more pressure being a swing, but I think that's because you can't be as prepared.
Yeah, of course.
You know, swings don't do a tech rehearsal, they don't do a dress rehearsal, you're literally thrown on. Whereas when you're an understudy, which I've also done a lot of, you know, you get a full dress rehearsal, you tech the show, you know exactly what you're doing. Whereas swing, it's more flying by the seat of your pants.
And I was going to say, actually, on that subject, you know, you must have so many anecdotes about, God, I was thrown on at a moment's notice and all that. What's been the most challenging situation you've been put in since you've gone into Mamma Mia?
Oh, in Mamma Mia, I'm trying to think about that one. It's all been pretty straightforward for me in Mamma Mia. I mean, even last night we had somebody went off mid-show. The guy that played Pepper was sick, and mid-show we had to stop and switch them over, and that was on me because I was dance captain yesterday.
Oh, right.
But I suppose I don't really have anecdotes or stories of Mamma Mia, but I have, you know, I remember doing Singing in the Rain in Japan, and I was the cover Kathy, and that was the one that was at the Palace, and then it did the UK tour, and I did it, and we went to Japan, and I got put on as Kathy after the first number. So she did the bench scene and she did All I Do, and then she went off sick, and we're in Japan and they didn't stop the show and make an announcement like they normally would and say, for the rest of the performance, this role is going to be played by. And Amy Ellen Richardson was playing Kathy, and she's much taller than me. She's about 5'10". And then I come on stage and play Kathy for the rest of the show. But the audience knew. They came up stage door and they were like, "You went on from this part, you know."
Oh, wow.
And I'd never danced. That was with Adam Cooper. And I'd never danced the duets with him or anything. We had to like practice in the interval. So I remember being thrown on there mid-show with the new Don Lockwood, who had never played opposite before. I mean, he'd done the show a lot before. He did it in London, he did it at Chichester, but he hadn't done it with my cast. He just came back from Japan. So that was chaos.
Is there a strange sense of adrenaline that goes with that, though, where you're like, I've never done this before, I've never like acted opposite you, but this is a real challenge to like build a chemistry and convince those people that we have done this.
And I loved it. I mean, I was getting to dance with one of the best dancers in the world. It was amazing. And he was just literally lifting me around the stage. It was fabulous.
You mentioned obviously touring, and you've kind of had quite an equal balance of shows where you've done that have been London-based, but also, you know, you've gone as far as, you know, South Korea and things like that. Do you sort of have a preference? Because I always think, I feel like I'm such a homebody, I would just want to get back to my own bed, but there must be an excitement that goes with going away as well.
My preference is regional theatre. Like Chichester, Sheffield Crucible. I love that. I think the theatres have like a home vibe about them because like from everybody stage door to the canteen to the, you know, that like they're a family in those places, and you go and it is like home from home. The shows are new and creative, so you're always part of the full creative process rather than being slotted into something. I think they've been my highlight jobs. So they are away from home, but it's also a short stint, so it's normally like a 3-month kind of gig. And they're exciting. I've loved them.
Is there still a hard part that goes with it because I always think about this as well in terms of just having to make sacrifices in terms of your social life and things like that. And I suppose even with touring, that must be even harder where you're not with nearest and dearest as well. So is that probably the hardest part of situations like that?
I think it is. And obviously it depends on your life and what's going on for you at the time. I mean, I've been really lucky that I've worked with my husband so many times. I think we've done 7 musicals together and 3 or 4 pantos together. But now being a mum, I would find it really hard going away. Unless the industry changed a bit. And we will come on to that. What I might do is I'm going to throw some quickfire questions at you. Okay, I'm not going to be good at these, but we'll go for it.
And just whatever comes to your head first.
Okay.
So a long hot bath or a speedy shower?
A speedy shower.
If you're ordering a coffee, small, medium or large?
I don't drink coffee.
Oh, tea?
I'm one of those rare people. I'll have a large tea.
God, I drink
Yorkshire
too much.
tea, please.
Calling an Uber or walking if you can?
Walking if I can.
Yes, I'm exactly the same. Emmy, Tony, Oscar or Grammy? Or all?
Oscar, please.
Oh, interesting.
Please.
If you're watching the film, Mamma Mia 1 or Mamma Mia 2?
1. I'm Mia 1.
Interesting. I haven't actually seen 2, but I'm sure it's very good.
I saw it at the cinema and haven't seen it since. So I'm going to say 1.
Yeah. The original and the best.
Yeah.
A tap number or a rap number?
A tap number.
Oh, yes. And digital detox or online 24/7?
Digital detox for me.
But obviously this is available on Instagram and feel free to watch it. You obviously mentioned, well, I didn't even know that you had done so many shows with your husband. So the Richard and Judy of musical theatre.
I know.
You know, that's a USP there. We come as a pair. I was going to ask though, in terms of having children, is it a difficult decision by way of when you're in a career like this, where you're constantly, there are short-term contracts, you might be out of work at times, taking yourself out of an industry to have a child? Is it one of those situations, I would imagine, where it's no time is ever the right time?
Yeah, I don't think any time is the right time. I mean, we kind of were lucky with our timing that it was lockdown and COVID, but I say we were lucky. We tried for a very long time to have her, and she was an IVF baby, so we were put on hold with lockdown, and so it was definitely something we had planned for and wanted for a long time. But yeah, I think people do have that struggle and will continue to have that struggle. Especially like you work so hard from such a young age to be in this industry, and once you're on the train, you don't want to get off because you think, oh, I'm going to miss out on it. But I do think, you have to have a life outside of it. And I wouldn't change having her for the world. So,
did you notice going from doing shows prior to having a child and then stepping into it afterwards? What did you find the most difficult aspect of that to be?
The logistics of it have been really difficult. And I mean, we were really lucky. So my husband, Matt, we basically took it in turns, and we did one job on, one job off. And it was like, okay, you take this job. And so, the first year after she was born, he did a show at Chichester. Then then he did a show in Toronto. I did a show in Paris, and we just took her with us because she was very portable. And, we kind of were really, really lucky with how things worked out. And then it was only when Sister Act happened that I've been set in London, and we put her in nursery and all of that stuff. But now she's going to school in September, and basically it's not sustainable, the lifestyle for us. I think because our families don't live nearby. I think it depends on your setup. It depends on your relationships. It depends on so much. So I think every family is different. But for us, it's not sustainable because I don't see her enough. And when she goes to school, she'll be out all day and I'll be out all night. So
of course,
it's not something I can keep doing full time.
And that obviously leads us really neatly onto, you've started a very big, very important conversation with Equity. For anyone that hasn't seen that, in a sort of nutshell, what is it that you're trying to do with them?
So we're working on a campaign for flexible working in the theatre industry, and that's across all departments. So flexible working, like any other job, you can normally apply for a part-time job. And we're suggesting sharing a position, sharing a track, whether that's backstage, or on stage. And there are productions that are doing that. There are producers that are really behind it. Like Cameron McIntosh is really doing it and advertising it on Spotlight breakdowns and things like that. So basically, two people could share a role. For example, in Les Mis, there are two women that are both happen to be mums that share a swing role in Les Mis. And over the time, it has been amazing. I think 6 years they've been doing it now. And it's also been amazing for the company as well, because they've, in an emergency, had an extra person.
Of course.
So there's lots of pros to it, but I understand, for new productions, there are obstacles to overcome. They may have to set budgets in order to do that for people. But it's something that we're really working on, because there's a massive selection of the industry that are being pushed out because it can't work for their families or for their lifestyle, because it's not just parents that need this. There are people with access needs that it would really benefit, people with health conditions, and just people who have other things going on in their life, caring responsibilities or whatever, that make it that they can't possibly do 8 shows a week. And there are, stage management roles, wigs, hair, and makeup, and their hours are long. You know, their
Yeah.
hours are different. So if they could share a role, it would be massively beneficial. And also people would be less burnt out and go off sick less.
Yeah.
You know, I'm up at 7 with my daughter. I've got a full on day and then I go to work. So it's almost like I'm working 17-hour days.
Yeah.
And I love my job.
Yeah.
But I love her and I have to be
course.
there for her. And when she starts school, it's going to be even harder.
I was going to ask this as well, and you mentioned it in terms of keeping roles fresh. It does feel like it does go hand in hand because the pressure of performing 8 shows a week must be intense no matter what your personal circumstance is.
Yeah.
So again, to be able to have that proper time, just to be able to take a step back and actually breathe, I suppose, must be a big part of it as well in terms of sustaining people's mental health.
I mean, it would be a huge help for people's mental health.
Yeah.
And you know, I think if we need to try and change it from the casting process and normalize it from auditions going forward, rather than, so in the past it's happened. Most job shares have come out of a maternity cover, which is completely understandable. And then they've sometimes stayed there because the maternity cover has worked out really well.
Yeah.
But there's not many that have happened from the off.
Yeah.
And that's what we're trying to push for.
Yeah.
And like I say, it can help so many people.
Yeah.
And it's the law in every other industry. Like you
course.
have to be able to family-friendly hours and all of that stuff because otherwise people are really being discriminated for not being able to do their job that they really love and they've been trained in, you know. And also I think it would open up a wider pool of talent.
Yeah.
Because there are people who, touring, for example, there are people who say, I can't go on tour because I've got a family.
Of course.
But I could go 3 days a week.
Yeah.
Instead of 6 days a week.
Yeah.
Because that's the other thing, we don't get the full weekend either. Saturday's the most important day in theatre, really, you know, because that's when most people can come and watch.
Yeah.
So it's really important that, you know, that it's split so that people can make it work. And people could do 1 week on, 1 week off.
Yeah.
You know, and I've had meetings over the last year about this, you know, and people have come who've had disabilities or there was an amazing lady that had Crohn's disease and she said, you know, every other week I have to have a treatment.
Yeah.
And she could work 1 week and then have a treatment and she's so talented.
Yeah.
And feeling like she can't come to work because it's not working out for her.
Of course.
And there's loads of people it could help.
You spoke out publicly about it in June, I think it was, when you first posted.
Yeah.
Was there a bit of a fear about doing that where you think, oh God, if I'm the one that puts my head above the parapet and really campaigns for this, there might be some people that look at me and say, you know, well, it's worked fine thus far.
Yeah.
So, you know.
I think I am going to get some pushbacks, but I'm at the point in my career where I think I've got nothing to lose.
Yeah.
Because I either do this or I leave the industry. That's where I'm at.
Yeah.
So if I can't do a job share, then I'm going to try and help other people get a job share. And I've been trying to help people with their proposals to their companies. Yeah. You know, and there's still resistance there.
Yeah. And actually, because I was going to ask, in terms of the resistance, what is the main pushback as to why people say, well, this wouldn't work?
I think people are scared of change.
Yeah.
And like you say, things have been a certain way for a long time. And people, you know, some people are of the mindset, well, we made it work, but that's fine. Your situation might have been different. Yeah. You know, some people have families nearby. Lots of people have au pairs. And au pairs are brilliant, but a lot of that has changed since Brexit happened because a lot of my friends, like back in the day, they used to get students from European countries that would come and live with them and it would just work perfectly and beautifully. And there are still companies that you can do that through, but also it depends on your home setup and everything.
Of course.
So it's really difficult to juggle any of it, to be honest.
And it must be because, particularly, I suppose, the last 2 shows you've done, you know, Mamma Mia, which is predominantly, a lot of it is for want of a better word, middle-aged cast, you know, it does skew that little bit older. So I assume a lot of people do have, families at home, and probably with Sister Act as well, because you've got the nuns and all of that. Yeah. So have you found, you know, since you've started these conversations, have a lot of people kind of been behind you in terms of...
More than I even thought. But when I first set up my first meeting, before I spoke out about it, you know, we've got a group on Facebook of like 240 mums.
Yeah.
And that's before we've even opened it to dads and carers and anybody
Yeah.
else. You know, there's a huge movement behind it.
Yeah.
But also the people that have reached out to me since I posted about the equity campaign. I can't actually believe it. It's been quite overwhelming, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's been an amazing response, and I just hope that we can get it in the next West End agreement, or more strength behind it for that. Because that would see a big shift, I think. And even people talking about it and normalising it is really brilliant. And I've got meetings with producers and artistic directors coming up. So people are talking about it in a very positive way.
Yeah.
So.
And you mentioned, obviously, that being incorporated into the West End Agreement. So if that were to happen, what would that then mean for the industry? Would then have to be an industry standard for that to be a viable option when casting?
It will depend how it looks, because basically there's a survey out now for equity members.
Yeah.
And if enough people say that, then Equity can pitch it to SALT, the Society of London Theatres, to try and get it in the West End Agreement. I don't know what that will look like, but I mean, we've got to just hope and aim for it being across the West End, you know, and or people actively trying to make it work. I think that's all we're hoping for at this stage, is that companies will actively try and make it work. And you know, they're in other employment, if you ask for flexible working, they can say there's 8 business reasons as to why you can't have it. If we can cover those 8 business reasons and try and combat them somehow, and I think producers need to be having more of a conversation with their artists or people who are asking for it, and working out a solution as to how it can work, rather than just saying no, because it's easier to get somebody else.
Yeah. I mean, because I find I work in the media, and, you know, my phone rings constantly, and I have a lot of unpredictable hours, weekends. And I often think to myself, I don't have children, but I think, thank God I don't. I don't think I'd be able to do this job if I did. And do you think that there are possibly people in the industry that have that attitude where they think, well, you make the choice. It's either you have kids or you don't, sort of
There
thing.
will be people that have that. And one person has said that to me a year or two ago, and I thought, oh, that's a shame. But that's their opinion, and you know,
was that a performer or a producer?
Yeah, a performer.
Oh, right.
But you know, that's their opinion, and they've had a long career doing what they do, and they chose not to have children, and I understand that. And there's going to be, you know, there's going to be resistance, like there is to every change. But I do think there's more positives than negatives. And I think, you know, keeping as many talented people in the industry as we can is surely a win for everyone. You know, and like we were saying about the fans of shows, if it was somebody in a principal part, like them getting to see 2 different people potentially, but also like in a swing role, like I said, we don't tech, we don't do dress rehearsals. You know, there's lots of pros to having it there as well. There's not one set role for each production that I think it should be in. And it can be in a stage management position. There are lots of them going on now, which is really, really positive. You know, I've even heard of one that's split with 3 people. In the week, there's 3 people sharing a role in a stage management position. And I think it can keep more people on the road. It can keep more people in town.
Do you think that there's a possibility as well, say it were to be passed through, would there be any impact financially where people say, okay, well, we'll make this work, but I don't know, people may have to take a pay cut because we're now having to pay, you know, 2 people as opposed to 1, or... Well,
it shouldn't matter paying 2 people as opposed to 1. They will be sharing a wage. They'll be sharing the holiday, they'll be sharing the sick days. You know, they're only getting half of the wage. The additional costs can come in if they're rehearsing something new. But say, for example, if someone was staying in a job and they're already rehearsed in, then it shouldn't cost the company anything other than having the extra person on the payroll, which is very minimal.
And you've obviously said, you know, the way it is currently isn't sustainable for you.
No.
Have you set a sort of almost like a deadline in your mind of, well, if there isn't change, I'll have to step away from doing what I love by this point?
I haven't really, because I've kind of said to myself, I'll do like short contracts. But also, this industry is so unpredictable. I may never work again. You just never know what's around the corner. And I think that's another thing about, being a parent. You have to provide.
Yeah.
I will have to get a non-performing job, which I will do from October when I finish Mamma Mia.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, I want to push this campaign as much as I can.
Yeah.
It takes time for things to change.
Of course, yeah.
I've just been watching that Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders, and it took them a year to get their money that they deserved.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of things in that. I think, how does that still happen? But,
I know.
Yes.
Yeah, but
that's another podcast. Yeah.
But there's things in the industry. I think, how is this still happening?
Yeah.
What
was it was there any kind of moment where you said, I really have to do something about this now? I have to go to Equity and have that conversation.
I've been talking about it for years, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
And my husband said to me, why don't you just do it?
Yeah.
Basically, I think people have been waiting for a voice.
Yeah.
And I've just gone, okay,
yeah,
I'll do it. I've never been a campaigner. I've never been an activist. I'm terrible on social media, but I'm ready, because if I don't do it now, and I feel like we need to strike while the iron's hot, because the West End Agreement is coming up. If we don't get it in this time, we've got to wait another 3 or 4 years before we see any change. And I do think if it doesn't happen this time, I do think there will be change, because there are people that are really doing it and fighting for it. So, and there's people that have been quietly doing it for years, like Matthew Bourne. Matthew Bourne's company, they've had job shares forever, but it's just not really been talked about as much. So, it is happening. I think we just need to make a little bit more noise about it now. Yeah.
And on that front as well, if there is someone watching this now who thinks, God, I really want to get behind that, I want to support it, what would you say, what's the best thing for that person to do?
Well, if you're an Equity member, you can vote in the survey, and you can put flexible working down as something you would like to see change. But in the meantime, I guess follow what we're doing, and if there's any meetings that you can attend, I'm hoping to have an industry-wide meeting at Equity at some point, because also we don't know yet how many other people this could help. A friend of mine who I worked with years and years ago, a male friend who's had no children, he messaged me being like, I would love to come back to the industry, but I'm doing this part-time master's degree and I can't, but I could do it if it was in a job share. And I was like, that would be amazing. Yeah. You just don't know who it could help.
And as it currently stands, you mentioned both you and your husband are performers. Is it one of those things that at the moment where you look at jobs and you sort of say, well, look, if I take this one, you'll have to be the person that sort of takes the backward step? And have you ever had situations as well where you've both, I don't know, been up for jobs at the same time and you think, what are we going to do if we both get this?
We have, but he's recently gone into full-time teaching. So he's now full-time at Arts Ed. So he loves teaching. It's something he's always wanted to do. So he now has school holidays off and we can make things work that way. But I'm not ready to give up performing, but I will if I can't make it work for my family. And I kind of always said I wanted to work until she goes to school, and that's come round quicker than I thought.
Of course. Which is,
scary.
The scary thing about time, it just goes too quickly. But on a positive as well, you know, like I said in the intro, you've done so many really kind of like firm favourite shows, that have real fandoms, like things like Legally Blonde and Jersey Boys and things like that. Are there any other shows that you look at as a sort of, really passionate performer and think, I really hope I get an opportunity to go into that and do that?
I would love to do Wicked.
Oh, really?
I did get offered it a long time ago and I couldn't do it.
Oh, wow.
And it's never worked out and I've never gone back. And I don't know if it would ever happen, but I would still love to do Wicked.
Was that when Ariana took the part instead?
Yes, exactly. Exactly that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would love to do that. I think because it came out in my first year at college, it started in London. Oh, wow. And I think, when you're training and it's like a part of your world and it was so big and so exciting at the time. I just feel like I've unfinished business with Wicked. I don't know.
Well, yeah. And of course, it's never really, its popularity has never waned, has it? But it feels like it's having such a moment now. Because, and I suppose in the same way with Mamma Mia, with the movies and all of that, because I think there's a rumour of a third.
It's happening,
Yes. Is that confirmed?
Yeah, number
Oh,
3.
right, yeah.
Is that- I think it is.
I thought that was new news there, but yeah.
Better check that.
If not, it's an exclusive. So possibly something like Wicked.
Yeah.
And is there anything as well that you've done that you would love to go back to, where you've done it in a particular role, but you then think, oh, actually, I'd love to go back and have the opportunity to do either the same role or a different role?
I mean, I love Gypsy. Gypsy was a
right.
really special job for me.
Yeah.
And I got to do both the girls, Louise and June. But I would love to play Louise. I think that
Yes.
was a really special.
Yeah.
It was a really special job.
Yeah.
Yeah, I loved it.
And on the subject of Mama Rose, would you ever want to put your own child in the industry?
Do you know, I never said I would, and I never want to thrust it on her or anything, but we got her report 2 days ago from nursery, and it was like, Robin loves singing the songs from Mamma Mia, and she wants to be in Mamma Mia when she grows up and all of this. So I think it is just in her.
Yeah.
And she sings everywhere. But we did put her in ballet and we had to take her out because she was too disruptive. So, I just don't know. I don't know. The world's her oyster. I just want her to be happy, if I'm honest.
Well, they're doing child auditions here today, so you can, next time round, you could just,
She'd be too wild, I think.
Yeah. I cannot believe how quickly time goes, quite literally, because we could chat for hours, but I thank you so much for coming in and
you for having
chatting.
me.
I think, as I said in the intro, it is such an important conversation that you've started. And, I really sort of wish you luck as well in getting that going and getting it moving.
Yeah.
And just making people more aware of it and more aware of what they can do to get involved to help. But on a broader scale as well, you've had such an interesting career, and I just hope that continues for many, many shows to come.
Thank you so much.
And just on the plug, obviously tickets for Mamma Mia are on sale. I'm sure they will be for many years to come as well. And of course, you can find out so much more on our Instagram at City Academy UK. And we look forward to seeing you again soon. But in the meantime, thank you so much, Lauren.
Thank you for having me.